This is our Wednesday night channeling, number 177. Since we started counting again, the title comes through as kind of a long title. Another soul enters the physical. And I thought about writing that on the tape, so I thought, well, Birth would be a good name to call it. It's such a long title. Anyway, here's how it goes. Another being from the planes not visible to those on your plane enters the physical through the so-called mother's womb, and now the test tube babies, as they are called. What will they do with this incarnation? If you could go back to the day you came into the physical with the understanding you now have, what would you do different? Good question, huh? Would you punch the kid's nose that was smaller than you, or pull the girl's pigtails to get her in trouble with the teacher or perhaps yourself? That, of course, is just a sample of a lot of things. As you look back to see yourself growing up, what would you do different? Now, here's something that's interesting to think about. You can change the patterns in this incarnation or any other. Those who have taken the time travel class know this, and they really, know this if they really participated. How serious did you take the class? What did you do with the information and techniques to change your so-called future, to move higher in consciousness? Most who go through the experience of an incarnation on this plane do grow just by being here. Those who have been given insight by attending classes such as this center or in many others have great opportunity to spiral upwards in soul's growth rapidly. 50% or more do use this opportunity. 50% or more do not use this opportunity. They let the illusions suck them into a sort of sleep state and know not who they are. Now we can fix the lights if you want to. We don't really need to fix them, but it's our theatrics, as the teacher said.
Our atmosphere.
Huh?
Our atmosphere.
Our atmosphere, yeah, that's a good word. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don, coming to you from these realms of love and light. This kind of sounds like a commercial, doesn't it? I thought about it, saying this same thing each time that I come in, and listening to some of your radio and television, it may be a commercial to tell you what station you're tuned into. Well, I tell you, you're tuned in to the station of divine love and light, these higher realms. And Elva is going to bring the message tonight. He is here, and he is bright and shiny, and it would be a beautiful experience when you open your inner eye to be able to see him in all of his glory and beauty, and many, many other of the shining beings that come to be with you. There are many higher beings that are with you in spirit, and there are many who have come to sit in on the class from this side of the veil, many, many more than you can think of. They do not take up space, so to speak. On these realms we are not involved with time and space. But I rattle on, so I'd better turn this over to Ella. Good evening, my dear ones. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you. Our dear Kadon is closer to you in your physical plane than some of us, and he has a way of communicating with you that some of us have forgotten. It is a beautiful experience to see from this side of the veil the circle of light that you have created with your inner image and with your vibrations and emanations that are coming from you and those who are here from this side of the veil. They are filling your empty chairs and just sitting in the balcony, you might say, and are very grateful to be here. They send God's love to you in great abundance, and could you see their smiling faces, your hearts would be filled with joy. We want to thank you for sending God's love often through the day and being with us in your thoughts. Some of you remember to send love to those who communicate with you and with all other smaller groups, for there are many, many smaller groups around your planet and other planets like yours who make contact in this way so that they will have that opening and that channel for God's divine love to flow through into your language as best that we can do. There are many other planets very similar to yours in the universe. They are all a little different, but I am speaking now in their growth, in their place in consciousness, and for those who abide on this planet. So you have many who are close to your place in growth, and they are having the same similar experiences that you are having on your plane. Our subject tonight is an interesting one, and it is something that I would like for you to reflect on. It is calling your attention to what would you do if you could change this incarnation and other incarnations that you might become aware of. What would you do if you had the tools to change the patterns? Now, the experiences are in the ethers, and they are there, but you have the ability, those who have gone through the classes, and especially the time travel class, to learn to know how to change their connection to you and the influence, especially the negative influence, that they may be having on you at this time. Some of you have made great strides in this, and others have made a little, and some have done very little. It is with great enthusiasm that we speak to you of this, but we give you complete freedom to do with this as you see the need. Lethargy, as you call it, is one of man's enemies on this dimension of procrastination and just, you would say, laziness, or putting things off and say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow or some other time. And before you know it, your incarnation is over, and you then have to look back and see what it is that you've done with the time that has been allotted to you in this incarnation. I would have you to realize that this is a great opportunity at this particular time in the history of your planet. It is the greatest opportunity for soul's growth that has ever been in the history since your planet was formed. Many of you have incarnated on this planet many times, and some of you, all in this room at this time, and I'm not speaking of those in the spirit that are not without the physical, but I'm speaking of you who are in the physical, have incarnated several times on this physical, and some of you many times on the physical. It is time now to wrap up what you have learned and be free of this physical plane of illusion, for it is illusion, my dear ones. We tell you this almost every time we talk to you, because it is important that you remember as you go through the day that this is truly just a play on a stage. And it is not important what happens in the play or what role that you play in the play. It is really not really not that important if you get killed or shot, let us say. There are many in your part of the world and all over the world really that are being killed, and this seems to be an outrage, but I tell you, my dear ones, it is a karmic outworking, but it is a time when you have the opportunity for you who are growing. Your incarnation will not be cut short, and those who have had their incarnation cut short, some of them, it was time for them to go. A few of them, it was not. In all of these things, it is a karmic outworking. And I feel that most of you know what this means. As you look back on this incarnation in a positive way, never, never feel guilty or self-condemnation for the experiences that you've had. There is no duality, there is no good or evil, time or space. It is just experience, my dear ones, and when you can really get this into your consciousness and realize this and turn loose of all guilt and self-condemnation, realizing that you are an eternal spiritual being that is wearing a physical body at this time and is using a mind to make contact with these dimensions, then you can change your attitude about yourself. You can learn to like yourself. you can even learn to love yourself. And we have told you this several times, but I am going to repeat it in this tape. The secret of learning to love yourself is going beyond the physical and beyond the hang-ups, the so-called hang-ups that you have, and realizing that you are neither of these. You are not the physical or the desires of the physical body. You are not the hang-ups in the mental realms. But as long as you believe that you are, as long as you hang on to this belief in karma, for example, then you are bound by it. You see, karma is a man-made law. It is not a spiritual law. So it has been set in motion for a long time to help you to be accountable for the things that you do, to keep you from getting too far out of bounds, because you have forgotten who you are. When you truly remember that you are a divine being, then you would not go against the grain of life. You would never think of harming another one of God's expressions of life in any way. But as long as you believe that you are bound by the law of karma, then you are. When you can give up, and let me repeat these words, give up, let go, and let God, and I mean this not just in words, but I mean in the depths of your being. When you can learn how to do this, then you can be free of this physical plane. Why does it take you so long to do this? Because the belief system that you have has been pounded into you for a long, long time. And your belief in duality, in good and evil, time and space, and all the other things that are dual, binds you to these lower dimensions and keeps you here. And your understanding, when it grows to the place where you know, not just think about it, but really know that you are not bound by the law of karma, that you are not a dual being, that you are one with all life, and all life is one with you. You are a divine being, a child of the Creator that created all of life. When you truly know this in the depths of your soul and bring it back to the conscious remembrance of your conscious awareness, then are you free. There is a part of you that is one with God. You are one with God now, but there's a part of you that knows that you are one with God in all of life. And that part of you has to come forth into your physical manifestation to bring about the freedom that you seek. And my dear ones, every desire that you have can be traced back to the desire to be one with God and to be free of these lower dimensions. No matter what the desire is, no matter how it is expressed, it can be traced back to the desire to know your Creator and to know that you are one with the Creator and that you are a co-creator with God. And you have created your life as it is, and you can uncreate it and recreate it. Now, these are words that have been said and spoken many times in these channeling sessions with you, but they are words that need to be repeated until you understand, until you realize that you can do this, not with the physical personality, not with your physical self-understanding, not with your intellect, but with the God being that dwells within you, the power of that God being coming forth, and you're allowing it to. Now, why do you not allow it to? The Father has given you free will, and this free will is active, and has always been active, and always shall be active. And when you left the Garden of Eden, the Godhead, or whatever expression you want to call it, you took one thought separate from God, and that first thought led to another, and to another, and so you dropped down, and over a long period of what you think of as time, you have hit bottom, and now you are on your way back up. You did this purposely, my dear ones. It was not a fall, it was not a disgrace, it was something that you desired to experience. And when you come to the place in consciousness, when you do away with this thought of good and evil, you see that does away with the thought that it was a fall, and that Lucifer or somebody else tempted you into doing this. It was a planned thing that you decided to take part in, because God has given you the freedom to do as you choose. Now, let me explain a little bit further. By going through this, and you have no idea, my dear ones, how long in your thinking of time it has been since you left the Father's house and was one with him even in thought. You could not count it in your calculations of time. But by doing this and going through all of these experiences, you have grown tremendously. You have learned many, many things that you were not aware of when you were in the Garden of Eden of the Godhead. And you have come out many times on cycles such as this, and you will continue to do so until you become a God in your own right. Now, maybe we should not go into that part this evening, but there will become a time when you've learned all that you need to learn by leaving home, leaving the Father's bosom, and being one with him even in thought, and coming out on your own and having these different experiences. Each time that you come out on a new cycle, you come out on a higher cycle. And it is difficult for you to see this from your surface point of view and this plane of illusion. And this is why that we come to you for these channeling sessions to talk to you about this and to help you to understand that you are not lowly humans. You are God beings. You are divine. And you should start thinking of yourself in this way. And whenever you learn to love yourself, then you can love God. But if you do not love yourself, my dear ones, from this physical plane of illusion, you do not love God from this consciousness that you're in at this time. So it is important that you understand this and to realize who you truly are. And to make the changes that you need to make instead of repeating the same old habit patterns of thinking that keep you bound to these lower dimensions. This is why the Master Teacher came almost 2,000 years ago to set a pattern for you to live by. He did not come to die on a cross to save you from your sins, because, my dear ones, you have no sins. You have experiences. When you go against the grain of life, you cause a ripple in your memory banks, in the soul memory of you, and this has to be corrected. But only you can correct it. No one else can do this for you. We come to give you guidelines to try to express in your language, which is very limited, to bring about your freedom from these lower dimensions. And so it is up to you, and only up to you, and no one else can do it for you. So this is why we continually repeat these different things in a little different way to help you to understand, to help you to awaken in your physical body in the mornings and move through your day in a conscious spiritual understanding of who you are, remembering who you are, no matter how the play goes, no matter what happens around you, no matter what your role in this play is, it matters not. Your true reality is divine. Your true reality is God's. And you cannot get away from this, because this is cast in you, and it is there forever. It is there throughout eternity. Just because that you do not remember this, just because that you are bound up in your beliefs of limitation at this time, does not take away the truth that you are divine. The true reality of your being is whole, complete, and perfect at this moment. It is just that you are playing a role on this physical plane to have this experience, to learn and to grow through. As you consider the subject matter tonight of what would you do if you could change the habit patterns that keep you bound to these lower dimensions, and make no mistake, it is your negative, illusionary habit patterns of misunderstanding the laws of life that keep you bound to these lower dimensions. If you could change these, if you could be free, would you take the opportunity? Everyone will, at some time, free themselves from this. But you have all eternity that has no ending. And most of you who are attracted to a group like this, who are attracted to do something about their life, have finished the experiences that they need on this plane, on these lower dimensions, and are ready to move higher. But the habit patterns of old keep repeating themselves without your consciously knowing it sometimes. And this is what keeps you bound, and will keep you bound until you awaken. It is truly an awakening. And when you do awaken to this truth and realize who you are and that you are just playing this role, you will continue to play other roles. You will continue to be under the law of karma, and it will hold you to your beliefs. For your beliefs, my dear ones, you are creating. Your belief system is creating whatever you believe yourself to be. And you have to give up these beliefs, these old beliefs. That is the first step in moving forward, is giving up, turning loose of these old belief systems and being free to move in the direction of raising your consciousness, the direction of light and love. Maybe it is time that we should stop and allow you to ask questions. I expect a lot of questions from this class tonight, for it is a class that could bring many questions.
You say we are one with all life. Are we one with Adam, Hussein, and all his actions? Are we responsible as he is for all his reactions? Are all of these just
We are one with all life.
Well.
And this is...
Then that means he's not, there is no such a thing as he's making a mistake. I don't know what our relationship is with people like that.
See, this is going back to the belief in evil, good and evil.
I know
my
that
dear
there
one.
isn't any evil, so how can we go back to evil?
Well, you, in your statement, in
Well, I'm just questioning. I
Yes.
just don't know about our relationship with any of us.
your relation
We're
is
one
a,
with God, and
your relation.
men are one with God also. Are they not?
Yes, they are. Your relation with Napoleon, not Napoleon, but Hitler and all the other dictators and all the other rulers who've done what you think of as damage, you see, is just experience. And this is very difficult for you to get this into your thoughts and into your consciousness.
And then we don't feel it there's no burden or feeling from that. It's just an experience that they needed.
And that you needed.
And that we need to
You see, the whole world was affected by this one man, was it not?
But it was just an illusion?
And the whole world was affected
Was it just
by
an illusion?
by the Hitler. All your lower dimensions is illusion. They are not real in the sense of eternity. But as long as you believe in good and evil, or the law of karma, then you are bound by it. And so when you think of it as something bad, then you are under the law of karma. When you think of it as experience only, and this is the best word that I can come up with in your language to explain this to you.
It's an experience for all of us?
Yes. When one individual affects the whole world, you see, they are affected by it and react to it in a certain way, according to their understanding.
But it isn't bad.
There is no such thing as bad or good. You see, if there's bad, then there has to be good. Life is, period. God is, period. And when you come to this understanding, then you are still one with all those on the lower dimensions but you are freed through your understanding from the law of karma and all that goes with it.
Another thing, when a person goes up on an airplane in fire, does God relieve them of that pain? I mean, when you get into a situation like that, are you freed from the pain? I read that a bear was eating a human being, and he felt no pain whatsoever until his friend came and saved him from the situation. Does God, when He sees that we are just so far, relieve us of
Let us leave the word God out of this experience.
the universe?
Let's think of ourselves. Let's take responsibility for everything that happens in our life,
All right.
because you are responsible for everything that happens in your life.
You just deny it then.
Well, there are many times you see life force follows thought. If you remember me saying this, and remember that wherever your attention is, that is where you are experiencing. And when you have heard many times of people in wartime that have been shot or injured and go on fighting and do not realize that they have been injured for a while. And then when they realize that they've been injured, then do they feel the pain, because their attention goes to that situation. Now, if you, please do not mumble, say it loudly.
I say I can understand that.
Yes.
You think often you think you're in pain, and if you ignore it,
Yes,
it's gone.
that's correct. Wherever you place your attention, the life force follows thought. Whatever you attend to, where your attention is, that is where your consciousness is at that moment. And so it is the same thing with your belief system. If you believe that you need to suffer, then of course you're going to draw suffering to you. Many of your churches teach that you have to suffer because the master teacher died on the cross and suffered, or for some reason they think that they had to bear a cross, and they have gotten this all tangled up in their thinking. But as long as they believe it, then they will attract that suffering to them. They will attract that experience to them.
Then these people that did these things just believed in them.
Yes, that is their belief system.
And brought it to them, is that right?
That's correct. Everything that happens to you, you have created. No matter what it is, or no matter how it appears to be on your physical plane from your surface view. If you remember, the master teacher said, judge not by appearances, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous means the right useness of the law. In other words, you judge it by the real truth, not by what it appears to be. There are many magicians and fakirs, as they're called in India, and they can have the ability, and I do not wish to, I maybe should not have brought this into the conversation, but to make the whole audience see them climbing a rope. They throw the rope up, and it seems to be in the air, and they're climbing to the top of the rope. But when someone takes a picture through a photograph, then the rope just fell down, and it was just an appearance. that they had created in the people's minds who did see this. So you cannot judge by appearances, but you must judge righteous judgment.
You cannot judge another person's motive then either, can you?
You have no business judging anyone in any way. This is what keeps you tangled up, is your judgment and your relationships and how you relate to yourself, to others, and to the world as a whole. And it is the belief in duality, you see, that makes you think of these things as appearing in one way, when in true reality, in divine order and the divine law, they are not that way at all. But as long as you have been programmed and conditioned to think of them as that way, then you feel bad that the world is in such a bad state of condition, when the world is as it should be, because all the entities on this planet and the ones who've gone before have created the planet and the atmosphere and everything as it is. And so you've created this for your collective experience as well as your individual experience. But you do not have to be bound by the collective experience. As the fakir in India throws the rope up, and most see it standing stiff and the man climbing the rope. But there are few who know the truth and do not see this, because they know that it is a trick, and it is a trick of the mind. And he has, for a few moments, few minutes, cast this picture into your mind, and you have accepted it.
Then the newspapers are just tricks of the mind, and they're all mirages.
They are the belief of the people who write them and the ones who read them. And so it goes on. The more that you watch the news and the more that you think about the things that happen in the world and you feel bad about it, the more you are bound by the lower dimensions. When you know the truth and see through the illusions of these lower dimensions, then you know that there is reason and purpose behind everything, and that those who are under the law of karma have that belief system, and they will continue to reap the things that they have attracted to them through their belief system. This is difficult for many to understand because they know in their conscious memory of nothing else. And this is why that I say, to be free of these lower dimensions, you must go beyond the physical. You must go beyond the mental hang-ups and the belief systems that you've had, and start understanding the divine laws of life and living your life accordingly. Are there other questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes.
Recently it seems like I'm having a struggle with the influence that other people are having on the lifestyle that I'm trying to create with this metaphysical ideas in mind. And I'm wondering if there's something that I can do to avoid that, or if avoiding is not the right thing to do, or why would I be attracting that at this time, and how should I handle it?
You have accepted their suggestions, have you not?
Well, I didn't think that I was.
Well, if you say that you are troubled by it, I'm sorry that I did forget the words that you did use. What did you say?
That I felt that they were influencing me.
Influencing you, yes. So you accepted the suggestions. You see what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially though with a child, I feel like that I guess I'm not listening to myself then. And that would be
Speak a little louder, please.
I feel like with a child, that's a big responsibility that my ideas would be the right way. So then I've opened myself up to other suggestions from other people, and that's what's swung the balance, because it didn't seem to bother me before. But I've heard other people complain about that. Well, how do you handle when you want to go to a metaphysical center and other people say, oh, that's just hogwash, or when you want to...
Is this family you're speaking about?
Oh, family and friends, yeah.
Well, that's their belief system. If you want to be true to yourself, then you be true to what you know at this moment. Now, you may change your belief system the next hour, the next day, the next week, but right now, be true to yourself in what you understand for yourself. And your entity that came through you knew what they were getting into, and so the best way that you can help them is to be true to yourself. I did not mean to put that in a plural. I think you picked that up. Mm-hmm. Yes. Did that help your understanding?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. It is difficult sometimes to not let others sway us in a certain way that in the deeper part of ourselves we know that is not correct for us. It may be correct for them at that moment in their learning experience, but everyone is different, and everyone is in a different place in growth. So you cannot judge yourself by others, or let others judge you by themselves. That is not being true to your God self.
And it seems that you have to walk such a delicate line, because you can't, if you get into a conversation about it with somebody, well, then you've jeopardized your own belief system, or you have to defend it, so you may run into some resistance. But then, on the other hand, people see your lifestyle and they want to know more about it, because they see that's what they would like to be like, because you're happy and you're content and you have things in your life, and they want to know, well, how did you get those things?
Yes, well, you can tell them in your own way. If they do not accept it, then that's their freedom to do that. But do not be affected by their resistance to it. Just stick to your understanding. And if you'll remember, the Master said there will come a day when you only say yea or nay. And I will inject something here that maybe you have not thought about, any of you. That day may be when we stop using the language and the voice box and use thought transference only.
Could you, if we consented to having thought transference at these channeling, could you give us a message that way?
We are always giving you a message, my dear one. God is always speaking to your heart in many, many different ways. It is you that are not open to hear if you do not hear the guidance. You hear some of your guidance, and you follow it, but you do not follow all of it, because you do not always hear it. You see, when your attention is fastened on the physical world and the things that you feel that you have to do to support your body and your family, and this all is meshed in with your whole thought processes. And this is where, if you want to call it a test, and that is not a very good word to use, but if you want to call it a test, this is where the test comes in, is to be able to sift out that concern and to be able to see through these things that you sometimes are concerned about, that you need not be concerned, and to not be influenced by what is happening around you or what is happening in the world, but be true to yourself and to the truth that you know. When we come to class or read a book, we know about something, but until you live it in your daily life, you do not truly know it. This is a way to judge what you know for yourself, or I should say measure. I'm using incorrect words here. To measure your understanding.
Well, if we've lived other lives where we've had this understanding, how much of in the present physical life can we depend on some of those that information? Because we probably all have been masters and all within both sides of the coin. Is that true?
It is where you are now. It is where you've placed yourself. Yes, you have all been masters. You've been much more than masters. You've been one with God completely and wholly in every way. But you have chosen, as I said before, to come to these lower dimensions and have these experiences. And so you're having these experiences. Now you're on your way back home. And the reason that we come to you on these weekly visits, and Donald is worrying about the tape, is to remind you of who you truly are, and that you are a divine being that has had all knowledge. And so if you get the illusions out of the way and the confusion of your hang-ups and all the garbage, as you say, in your mind cleared up, then this truth can come through from your higher self, that part of you that is one with all life and one with God, that has access to all knowledge, all wisdom, all power, and all ability. Did this answer your question on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it true that at times in our physical
Speak louder, please.
Is it true in our physical, and that we're in this physical form, and at times when our life appears to be going the way that we've created, that we lose sight of this knowledge and this attachment with God, but then as soon as we create something that we really don't want, we turn to God again at that point? Or?
Oh yes, you fluctuate back and forth. Most do this that have a little understanding, and they want the higher consciousness, and they strive for it and work for it. But then, as I've used the word, the world sucks you back in to its illusionary belief system, and for a while you go along with it, and then you awaken and say, no, this is not the correct way to think. And you go back to, or sometimes if you have a program that you're working with, there are maybe a week will go by when you do nothing with your daily routine that you have worked out for yourself in your soul's growth. And you awaken to this and then go back to it. Is this what you were referring to?
Yeah, I believe that answered the question that I had as a statement. Also, I feel like that as I progress and moving up the ladder spiritually or on my vibrational level, I find that I'm walking the tightrope between what everybody else has created in reality and what I want. And does this become easier as you establish your own life that you want to create? Or
Yeah, let me correct you a little bit here. Everyone else has created their own reality. You have created your reality. If you accept someone else's suggestions, see, you have done this inside yourself by accepting them. And so it is your responsibility. Do not put the blame on the world or the way other people are doing, because you're responsible for everything that happens to you and you alone. And it's this one mistake that sometimes holds people back, because they think other people are doing it to them. Other people are holding them back, when this is not true. Only you can grow or go the other direction. And you do it through your habit patterns of thought. I have used the term belief system tonight in place of habit patterns of thought. They are very closely related, these phrases. Does this help your understanding? Yes. God bless you for asking. Are there other questions tonight?
Yes, I have a question. Some of us have worked rather diligently to learn what we've learned. And I want to ask if this is something we're going to forget if we are reborn onto this physical plane, or will we be able to take some of this knowledge into our next life?
Yes and no. It depends on where you are in your soul's growth. There are times when you come back into the physical with the memory of your previous life or previous lives, and the memory of the work that you have done on the other dimensions in between incarnations. You see, in between incarnations, if you are striving to grow and you're not on the rounds of darkness or dimness and just goofing off, as the saying goes, you are learning and growing and understanding. And I feel that most here will bring this understanding back with them if you reincarnate, whether it is conscious or unconscious. There is much, you see, that you bring back on an unconscious level. For example, one individual gets angry with someone else and they shoot him. And another individual gets angry with someone else and they realize that it is not that other individual that they're angry with, it's themselves that they're angry with, because they see the mirror reflection of themselves in that other individual. See, that is an unconscious memory, and you may not remember learning this, whether it was in the physical or in between incarnations, but it is there in your consciousness, nevertheless.
Thank you.
Yes. Are there other questions this evening? It is a glorious thing to be with you, and you know not how much it means to us to be able to make this kind of contact with you. As you see, there are not many who are open for this by the amount of people in the room in the physical. And there are many who are on vacation and otherwise, but it is to your best good, if I can put it that way, for your soul's growth, to take the things that you learn, whether in the structured classes that Donald teaches or some other program somewhere else, or the channeling here or someplace else. If you take this and use it in your daily life through maybe memory, but you do not use it, because every experience, everything is recorded in your memory banks. And when you learn to be open to that, you can draw upon it. You had this in your class called the time travel, and you were given techniques of how to do this. Some of you used it, and some of you did not. Some of you used it a little, and some of you have forgotten to keep up with working with this, because it is all there. But when the world is as it is, and you are, you seem vulnerable to the world influence, it is better to record it, to write it down or put it on tape, and then keep a record of yourself, an ongoing record. This is a good plan. And then go back over it once a week or once a month and think about the things that you have learned, and then add more to it, because you will have learned more by then. And at the end of the year, maybe it is a good thing to do this, to keep account of yourself, just as the bookkeeper does, is a good plan. Are there other questions this evening? And we will leave you this evening with the thought that you are the master of yourself. You are the keeper of your being, and God has given you this right. He cannot interfere with this free will that He has given you. It is your responsibility, and responsibility means the ability to respond. So ask yourself, do you have the ability to respond to the things that you learn as you go along, and to keep them in your conscious memory awareness, and use them in your daily life, instead of letting other influences come in and sometimes confusing you? It has been a great privilege, and we from these higher dimensions love you very dearly. You know not how much we love you and watch over you and help you in every way that you will let us. God bless each and every one of you, and good evening.